Well, this is our third annual Black Male Summit. It's the first time we have not been on a college campus. It's because the interest has grown beyond our capacity to host it on a campus. So we're in the city of New Orleans with 600 attendees having conversations about how do we change the trajectory? How do we change the narrative in Louisiana? How do we elevate black males to their fullest potential? And it is an extraordinarily exciting opportunity for us to be engaged in this work. Well, the goal is to talk about strategies. Everything we do is defined by data. It's driven by data. And if you want to change the data, then you have to analyze it. You have to get very granular, and you got to say, if this is where we want to be, and this is where we are, what are the specific, targeted, purposeful steps we're going to implement to close that gap? And so it's action-oriented conference. We're already starting to see the numbers start to change in Louisiana. This is really what the future of Louisiana is going to be built on.
The Black Male Summit was actually the idea of Gabe Willis and his partner Kedrick Nicholas from McNeese. And they called me one day and said, look, as part of the system conference, we think we should have a Black Male Summit. Maybe it's a pre-conference initiative. And I said, guys, I'm 100% in, but we've got to call Claire Norris and see what she thinks, because I guarantee you she's going to say we're not thinking big enough. So this is our third annual Black Male Summit. It's the first time we have not been on one of our campuses. And the reason is we don't have a venue on one of our campuses that can fit 600 people for this kind of conversation. That's how big this has gotten. It's also the first time we've been in New Orleans. And one of the key conversations that I get to engage in with Claire every year is who is going to be our keynote speaker. And I said, I've got an idea. It might be far-fetched because I know how busy he is. I know how many demands there are on his schedule. But let's just give it a shot. So folks, I am just thrilled that I get to engage in a conversation this morning with one of New Orleans' finest sons, a person who is a son of New Orleans, a son of Louisiana. He is someone that really needs no introduction anywhere in the sports world. He may be my favorite football player to ever step on the field. Would you please give a warm welcome to New Orleans' own Tyrann Mathieu.
Thank you.
Yeah, folks, forgive me if I fanboy out a couple. I'm on stage with the honey badger, guys. Can you this is absolutely amazing. Tyrann, please. Thank you so much for being here. This is going to be 2 days of conversations with this group about solutions to challenges, about helping black males that are part of our 90,000 students around the state achieve their potential, each individual's potential. And when you think about an individual that has achieved their potential, it's hard to find a better example than Tyrann Mathieu. Now look, I know that the NFL is business, right?
Oh yeah.
But it must be special for you to come home to New Orleans, to the place that you started, and live your dream in NFL here. Talk about what it means to come home.
Oh man, it's a blessing for sure. I think, having been in the NFL for 10 years and then having an opportunity to come home and not come home and play for any team, right? I've had a chance to, play for 4 different organizations, which I think all of them were great, but I think the Saints are just top of the line, right? And,
okay, yeah, that's okay.
I think too, I remember, in high school and as a kid growing up, the Saints had always done so much in the community, right? And so to be able to come home and play football, to live out my dream, but, to be a part of an organization that, lifted my spirits, right, so many times. I think it was cool, and, like I said, just grateful for that opportunity.
I know there's a lot more to Tyrann Mathieu than the honey badger, right? But you're always placed in that role when you're seen in public. How do you stay grounded? How do you stay in touch with your true self
as people recognize you as something, does imposter syndrome ever come into play?
Well, I think, at one point in time, that's what you want to live up to, each and every day. I think the older, I've gotten, I have 3 kids now, right? And so every day I wake up, I want to be a great father first, right? And, I want to be a great father first. And I think one of the ways, I try my best to stay grounded is to just kind of stay in the work, right? And, for me, I have a foundation that I started, many years ago, and, we do a lot of different things, for the community, and I try to stay in that, right? And I think having those experiences or being present, with certain people, certain kids, certain families, it gives you a different perspective, on life. And I think all those things kind of help you stay, grounded and humble.
So I appreciate that. We have a number of young men in this audience that are in a group we call the Reginald F. Lewis Scholars, right? We've elevated them, and so now they walk around campus, and they're recognized on campus. They have to they've been thrown into a role model role, if you will, whether they ask to or not.
Right.
What advice would you give them on how to handle that pressure of constantly being watched, someone who's being, every aspect of their life is being examined, and having to live that role model life?
Man, what a great responsibility, it is. I think, a lot of times, especially I'll speak for myself, it's so easy to be a reflection of all the bad things that has happened to you, right? And I think we should take pride in being a reflection of all the great things that has happened. So I think anytime somebody places you in a role of captain or role model, right, or team leader, what a great opportunity, it is to not only prove yourself right, but to prove others right as well, because, they don't just give people those titles, right? Like, it's a lot of work you've done, over time, work that people see and then work that people may not see, to put you in that kind of, position.
Well, I think that's key, because people, when they look at you, they see your life mostly in highlight reels, right? They see all these great moments where you've stepped on a field and you've delivered, you've been a game changer, you've done all these things. But there's so much work that goes into that, and there's adversity that goes into that. Yeah. There's probably moments of uncertainty. I can't imagine that Honey Badger is ever uncertain about anything. But how do you deal with those moments of trying to constantly be able to prove yourself, not only to others, but to yourself? How do you deal with these moments of uncertainty and adversity?
Well, I think we're all going to have our, fair share of, trying times. We're all going to have to, look adversity, right, and different challenges in the eye. But I think a big part of that is you have to speak positive to yourself first. And then two, I think it's all about the people that you surround yourself with too, right? Because we all need a helping hand at times. We all need people to encourage us, maybe motivate us, right? Maybe give us that extra push that we need. And that was always important to me too. I think going through hard times by yourself can be really lonely. But I think if you have a good team around you, right, you have good people around you that can, really motivate you, really speak to your spirit, I think, all of us could be able to get through, whatever it is that, we may be facing, in that moment, because it's just a moment.
That's key. Surround yourself with good people. That's been my secret to success. You surround yourself with people that are smarter than you and better than you, and for some of us that's easier than others, but that's the point. Switching gears for a second, one of the things that you've done, even after you left New Orleans, but now that you're back, is constantly give back to your community. And whether it's handing out turkeys or looking to get access to broadband and technology for underserved populations. Why is that important to you?
Well, you know, I started my foundation really because of my grandmother, and you know, what she had done for me, you know, growing up, just inspiring me. And my grandmother never had a driver's license, right? Like, she was like a stay-at-home, you know, old school grandma, right? But she was always available, right? And I couldn't understand why everybody in the community loved her, right? You know, we would sit out on the porch, and you know, everybody in the community would speak to her. She was almost as famous, you know, as me, right? Growing up, and so she was a big part of a big inspiration, you know, behind why it was so important for me to give back, right? And to be a positive reflection, you know, of your community. So, you know, I think it's in my spirit to do a lot of great things, especially in the community. But you know, I have to give credit, you know, to my grandmother, and you know how much, you know, she inspired me, you know, so early on in life when I didn't have resources or opportunities to be able to, you know, do what I do, you know, today.
So, you know, you talk about your grandmother as a role model, so important for us, and one of the programs we put our scholars through and we think is important to the success of black males is mentorships, having mentors. Who've been your mentors in life? Have you found those, and how did you find those, and how do you work with them, and then how do you serve as a mentor to others?
Man, I've had so many great, you know, mentors, you know, really in every phase, you know, of my life, right? And, you know, I can remember, you know, in high school, you know, a guy that I admired and looked up to was our defensive coordinator, right, at St. Augustine. And, you know, he was just so instrumental in not only getting me prepared to play football, but, you know, just trying to be the right man, right, every day, right? And that was one of the things he always preached to me is, who are you when nobody's watching you? Because I know who you are when you walk through the gates. We all know you could play football, right? We all know people gravitate towards you, but are you the right kind of person for that responsibility, right? And, you know, I can remember going to LSU, and, you know, like my big brother on campus was Patrick Peterson. Now, I was mad because I only got to spend a year with him, right? Because he, you know, he went off to the NFL, right? He had all these big dreams of, you know, going big, but I've been blessed, man. I remember when I got drafted, you know, obviously, you know, after going through some hard times at LSU, right? I can remember getting drafted to the Cardinals, and not only did I get drafted to the Cardinals, but I had a chance again to play with Patrick Peterson and Larry Fitzgerald, right? And so just two phenomenal football players, but, you know, Larry in particular, he had done so many great things in the community, right? And he didn't have an easy life. You know, he had it hard, and those were people that inspired me. You know, so you know, I've been blessed and fortunate. Really, I tell people all the time. You know, a lot of guys come up to me and ask me how I did it, right? And I don't have a secret formula, right? I pray a lot, and then two, I think every step of the way I've had good men to follow, and so you know, I'm grateful for that.
That's extraordinary. Let's see if this works a little bit better. Yeah, it's not as much feedback. Whatever happened to that Patrick Peterson guy? By the way, his foot was in bounds on that interception against Alabama. You know that. I will never get over that. Yeah. Of course, I will never forget either the 92-yard return that you had against Arkansas. And what was the coach's name? Bobby Petrino?
Yeah.
He wouldn't shake Les's hand walking off the field. I'll never forget that. It was great. Listen, I wonder, what advice would you give to the black males in this room, especially the young ones, the ones that are in college, the ones that are in high school, because we've got some high school students that have joined us today. What advice do you have for them as they start to move into this era of manhood, where people are going to be looking to them, expecting things from them, but for them also to understand that they're in control of their destiny. They're the masters of their domain. What advice would you give to these young men today?
I think, you know, the biggest thing, you know, I would say is to do what you love to do, and, you know, every day you wake up, stay focus on the work, right? And I think a lot of different things may inspire us. I think for me personally, right, you know, I still love playing football, right? And, you know, I got a real passion for that. You know, I think I've been blessed to be able to play it, you know, for this long, but some of the highlights of my year is not necessarily like catching interceptions or stuff like that, right? It's those moments when I'm in my work, right? And, you know, when I'm talking to a group of 50, you know, kids who all look at me as a mentor, or maybe it's when I'm giving out turkeys, right, in my community, you know, hosting free football camps. Like those are the moments that kind of make my year, you know? So, and I think people define success, you know, a lot of different ways. You know, I think a lot of people may think I'm successful because I'm kind of good at football. But, you know, I like to think that I'm successful because I try my best to stay focused on the work, right? And it's much bigger than playing football. You know, how can I be a positive influence on kids who may or may not like have hope, right? Like, can I be a good reflection, you know, on those kids? And I think all the moments that I'm able to do that, then I feel like I'm successful. You know, like I feel like that was a good day.
You know, hope is an important concept, and it's one that there's so many reasons for us to be hopeless at times. Louisiana has long struggled to realize its potential as a state, collectively, but certainly for black males. I mean, we as a state, we have more black males that are incarcerated than we do that are enrolled in college. That said, I've got to have hope that Louisiana can be better, can do better. As we wrap this up, what would your vision be for Louisiana? Because I know it's your home. For Louisiana, for New Orleans, how would you describe Louisiana in the future if we do things the right way?
Well, you know, I've had a chance to travel the world and, you know, be a part of a lot of different cultures. I've met a lot of different people, had a lot of different experiences. Nothing compares to Louisiana and its people. And I tell people all the time. Now, you know, I was just talking about Patrick Peterson and Larry Fitzgerald, right? And I played with J.J. Watt. I played with Patrick Mahomes, right? And I played with some of the best football players that we all know. Some of the best football players I've ever played with came from Louisiana, right? And I'm talking about growing up as a kid and being inspired by teammates, right? And obviously there's so much talent, there's so much potential, right? And outside of sports, it's so many people that that are good at what they do, right? And one of the biggest things is we've had our fair share of adversity, I think, as people, as a state. I'm always impressed by when hard times come, how we come together, right? And I think that's like one of the best, you know, attributes you can have as a person, right? It is being there for someone when they're going through, you know, a hard time. And so, you know, I think my vision for Louisiana is seeing the kids, seeing the youth, right, live up to their potential, right, chase their dreams, be dedicated, be present in their community, and I think it all starts there, right? And if we could continue to inspire the kids to be all that they can be, right? As cliche as that may sound, but if we can get them. I used to do this program for the last few years, right? And we call it the shift, right? And I would like host a meeting per se with, from like 50 to 100 kids, right? And the goal of it, the goal of the whole program was like, how can I shift their mindset 1 degree, 1%, right? And it was a blessing to be able to be a part of that. But I think if we can shift the mindset of the youth just 1%, I think we all will be, in a better place, for sure.
My goodness, there's a lot of wisdom in that, in Tyrann. I will tell you, in my view, a big part of realizing that vision, because the way you spelled it out was so compelling. A big part of it is a willingness to engage in the conversation. Yeah. These next 2 days for this body, for this group, is really about conversations, to talk with leaders, to talk with people that have gone through experiences. We're going to have some leadership panels with some of the most accomplished leaders in the state of Louisiana. I'm very excited about that. But getting the conversation started has got to be the key to achieve that 1% shift. I want to thank you for engaging in the conversation with me in front of 600 of our closest friends, and starting this Black Male Summit off with the most positive message that I could imagine from a young man, a professional, who grew up in New Orleans and accomplished his dreams despite every reason, every excuse not to. You are such a role model, not just for young Black males in this room, but for old white males sitting on the stage who still would love to become what the honey badger is today. Thank you for being that inspiration, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, yeah. I appreciate it. Thank you. Well, I think it's really simple. How can we inspire the next generation, right? How can we get these guys to see their potential, believe in themselves, and stay committed to their communities?
What's your reaction to the Black Summit that's been organized by the University of Louisiana system?
I mean, this is great. I think anytime you're able to get this many people in one room for a positive assessment, I mean, this is beautiful, man. I'm grateful to be a part of it. What a great opportunity it was, and like I tell people all the time, if you're part of a team, just throw your hand in the pile and try to help out best you can.
So we have 90,000 students at the ULS system, and about 15% of them are Black males. So this is really designed to address all of them. But we have the Reginald F. Lewis Scholars, which is 18. 2 scholars from each of our institutions. We have 3 cohorts of them now. We'll introduce the 3rd one tomorrow. These are force multipliers. They serve as representation of the realization of potential. We're giving them their own economic and social self-determination. And as a force multiplier, then they're able to expand that same type of programming to those around them. And this is what's going to be the difference maker for Louisiana.
What kind of results have you seen from this program?
Well, we've already seen growth in the scholars, but we've seen growth in those that are working with the scholars. We just came back from France with the first cohort. We were in the city of Paris, an iconic city, studying at Sorbonne University, University of Paris. It's been in existence for 800 years, walking in the same footsteps that Reginald F. Lewis himself walked when he led the billion-dollar leveraged buyout of Beatrice Foods. They're seeing examples of what a person can be given the right tools, given the right access, and of course given the education that comes afforded to them by University of Louisiana System institution.
I've gotten into this program because of Ruben Henderson. He came to me when I was a freshman, and I was kind of looking for a purpose. Without playing sports and no more in college, I came from high school playing sports my whole life, and I think I was just searching to be a part of a team and to be a part of something bigger than myself. And whenever he introduced the program to me, I thought it was a great idea and it served a great purpose, like what I wanted to do. I want to give hope to the people that come behind me, and I want to show people that they can be great too, and that they can prosper and do things that they never thought was capable. And from the program, I've learned a lot. I've met a bunch of people. I've seen things that I've never thought I would see just within 1 year. I went from having 1 suit to 9 suits now. So just the amount of information and the people that I meet, it really shows how great this program is for an individual like myself and others.
I joined this program because I thought it would be a great opportunity to learn and to develop myself businessly, socially, in all areas.
What have you learned so far?
Just to strive to make connections, always introduce and greet yourself to any and everyone, because you may never know where that connection could go.
What are your plans for a career now?
I plan to be a environmental safety health manager.
Would you recommend this to others, and if so, why?
I most definitely will. Just meeting the individuals that I meet, just like the people in this room, the people that you'll see talk and speak, the information that's given in this program is great and it's valuable for everybody. And I think that is something that everybody should look into and should come to. Every Black Male Summit that we have, I think that is something that should be worldwide. It shouldn't just be Louisiana. It should be branched out into other states and for other black men, because it's very important for us to learn and to get this type of information to us so that we can grow and continue to develop as a society.
Well said. Very good.
Done.
It's always inspiring to me. It always makes me think, what else can we be doing to change the narrative for Louisiana? And look, this summit is focused on black males. We also have work that's focused on female students and women, helping them become what they can become. For all of our students, to elevate them so that they can have, again, their own economic self-determination, to create a competitive workforce for Louisiana, but also to ensure that we're elevating all Louisianans in quality of life, community activities, and certainly in economic self-determination.
How can people get more information?
Well, come to ulsystem.edu or go to any one of our 9 institutions around the state. That's where the differences are taking place.